Hello, second grade. Back we are learning some more about line plots today. I'm so excited to do this with you. Yesterday, we just created this line plot together, right? We drew the line, we had the information in front of us, so that data in front of us, and all we did was put it on that line plot. Well, today we have a line plot in front of us, and you all are going to do some work as well. So with you today, before you get started, and you can pause me as soon as I tell you what you're going to look for, you are going to, again, get this workbook out, okay? I don't use this very much, but when I do, I really want you to be able to follow along. You're going to be turning to page 204. You're going to see some of the same pictures that I'm showing you up here. Mine are blown up, so mine will not be measuring the same as what you have in front of you. I've already done my measuring and I have it written in my lesson plan book. But what you see in front of you is just the picture. What I want you to be able to do is have access to this right here, because you're also going to need a ruler. You're actually going to be measuring these pieces, okay? So you need this workbook. Again, it's that shiny one with the numbers on the front. And you're going to turn to page 204, and you also need a ruler. If you don't have that with you, I want you to pause me and go and grab them, and then come back, resume me, start me back up again so that you can follow along. But I do want you to have those with you, okay? All right. Now, two things I want to do with you first. One, we want to look at our learning target to see what we're going to do today. And two, we're going to talk about our habits of mind, what we do in our brains without even thinking, and our habits of interaction, how we work with each other, okay? So you might be doing that already in your classroom. You might have done it last year, but you haven't done it a whole lot this year because you've just maybe you've been watching my videos. So Ms. Baker is really trying to make sure that I give you opportunities to practice these things, because we want to make sure they're a part of our math learning each and every day. So let's first start off with that learning target, and then we're going to jump right in. I can use information to complete a line plot. Yesterday, we created the thing completely together. You all helped me collect my information. We had it in front of us, and we just put those points, we plotted those points on the line plot. Well, today you can see that I have some pictures here, but no real good information. I have a line plot drawn already that's going to give us some clues. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But we have some questions we need to do first, and that is up to you. So I'm taking away a little bit of my help and giving a little bit more opportunity for you to practice something that you're going to get really good at this week. Okay? Now, I told you two things, right? So first we did our learning target. We're going to use that information or that data to complete, that means finish, right, that line plot. And just to reiterate or go back over, a line plot is a way to organize a set of measurements, okay? We're going to plot some numbers or information on a line that looks a lot like a number line, except for that we don't skip any numbers, do we? No, we do not. So you can see that right here, okay? So we are going to give ourselves that private think time, or that private reasoning time for us to think without there being a whole lot of background noise, a whole lot of friends talking to us, or you might even, if you're at home, find a spot that's quiet that you have an opportunity to have some of that private reasoning time, because you do want to have a chance to think through this and take time to make sense of your learning, okay? So we want to give that private reasoning time, whether you're in class with a whole group of kiddos or at home with just family members around and you need to find a quiet spot, okay? Private means to yourself, so you want to have that time for yourself. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to make some connections between our information or our measurements to our line plot, that we know what each of those X's represents on our line plot by looking at our data or our information, okay? So just like with our sea lions from yesterday, we have a picture to look at, but there's no measurements on here. What does our number one say? Let's take a peek and read it together. Julia spilled a box of spaghetti. Oh, I've been there before. She picked up the broken pieces shown below. Now you guys can see that right inside of your notebook that I asked you to go get and open up to. She measured each piece using centimeters. Ooh, what did I just say? She measured each piece using centimeters. Yesterday we measured in inches. So before we get started, which side of the ruler are we going to use? Are we going to use this part or this part? Yes, we're going to use our centimeter side, our smaller unit. Remember back a couple weeks ago, it's about the size of our pinky. So if you don't have this ruler at your house, that's okay. Be great if you did, but if you don't, it's about the size of your pinky, okay? So you can get a little bit of an estimate that way if you need to. She measured each piece using centimeters, but we don't know how long these pieces are, do we? Now let's take a peek at our line plot. Look at this line. What do you notice about this line? The smallest number is a 4. What does that tell us about our measurements, friends? Ooh, that possibly our smallest piece of spaghetti is 4 centimeters long, right? Because we include our smallest as our start and our longest as our last, our stopping point. So our smallest one must be 4 centimeters. And our longest one must be 10 centimeters. But we don't have that written down yet, do we? No. So here's where your job comes in. I want you, now in your notebook, just like mine is right here, you see some information on here. I'm not so worried about us writing this information or the answers to these questions down because we're going to talk about that together, right? But in front of you, you don't even have to draw anything. Your notebook already has this line plot that I have on my board. It already has this drawn for you. But it's missing what? Yeah, it's missing our X's. We don't know what data we're going to put on it yet, do we? So we have to measure. So what I want you all to do, I really want you to have time to think to yourself. First thing I want you to do is I want you to take some time to measure each of these pieces. We're going to measure each of those pieces, and then we are going to plot that information on our line plot. On this empty little line, it needs some little X's on there to plot our measurements. We have to measure them first. So in your notebook, because my guys are too big, I blew them up just so you could see them. You are going to use that centimeter side. And remember, friends, when you are measuring these, just a little reminder, I know you hear me reminding you guys of things all the time. I do that to my kids in my classroom too, okay? It's not just you all on my video. I do it to my kids too. Remember when you're measuring, I'm going to come right up here so you can see it. We're going to start at that 0, yes, at the beginning. And we're going to see where it stops. And what do you notice, my loves? Yes, it stops at the 6. So how long is this first little friend? 6 what? 6 centimeters long. So then what can I do over here on my line plot? I can put an X above my 6. Now, you all might decide to measure each of these first and then plot them on your line plot. You may choose to measure one and plot it, measure one and plot it. That's up to you. What you choose to do needs to be what works best for you. And when I say works best for you, I mean I really need you to think about what's going to help you remember what you're measuring and what you're plotting. Okay? So if you are a friend who needs to measure and plot it so that you don't forget, then go ahead and do that. If you are a friend who you know that you are going to forget to measure all of them, if you go measure line, then maybe you want to measure all of them and then plot them afterwards. I am going to ask each of you to write down next to that line how long it is. I don't want you to forget it. So just like I wrote 6 centimeters next to my A, I want you to do the same thing. So after I measure my B spaghetti spot, I'm going to ask you to write that down next to it, okay? So I'm going to give you some work time. I'm going to be asking you questions while I come around or while you're thinking. I will try not to disrupt you very much, okay? Because I do want you to have some of that private think time, but I also want to keep those brains thinking. So we noticed that our 4 was our smallest number and our 10 was our biggest. So if you measure one and you think it's only 3, is that possible using our line plot to help us? No, so you may want to have to go back and re-measure. If you measure 1 and it says 11, is it going to be correct? Probably not. You might need to go back and re-measure, okay? I promise you, I have measured all of these. There is none that are shorter than 4 and none that are longer than 10. So if you get one of those numbers that's too big or too small for this line plot, you need to go back and double check it, okay? All right, my friends, I wanted to give you some private think time. Pull those rulers out, open up your workbooks, and I want you to measure those, and then we'll share our information at the end, okay? All right, you may begin working. What are you doing first? Okay, and how long is it? 4 what? 4 inches? 4 centimeters, okay? So what are you going to do next? Are you going to measure next or are you going to plot next? All right, you're going to measure, all right? Okay. What are you going to do first? I notice that you're taking your time to measure very carefully. Why are you plotting right after you're measuring? Okay, and what would happen? Why would it be so important to record it as soon as you measured it? You don't want to put it in the wrong spot. Why would you not want to put it in the wrong spot? It would change your thinking, wouldn't it? It would change the information and how it's organized. It would give us different information, absolutely. Don't forget to start that at that 0 instead of that 1. How long is E? And how do you know? Okay, very nice. Inches or centimeters? So where's that going to go on the line plot? Wonderful. All right, friends, I'm seeing you guys measuring very well. If you're not quite done, feel free to pause me. If you are done, then let's go ahead and put those pencils and tools down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Raise your hand if you measured and plotted. Couple of you, why did you do that? So you wouldn't forget. Why would it be important not to forget what you measured? And why would that be so important? Right, if you measure something and you don't maybe plot it, you don't plot it in the right spot, that can change our data, can't it? Yes, so we want to make sure that we are attending to precision, not just being precise in our measurements, making sure that we're starting at that 0, that we're looking at that last number, that we're being careful with our measurements, but also that we're being careful to plot that A on our line plot in the correct spot. Not in the middle, not on the side. And I notice that each of your X's are the same size. They're lined up nice and neat. We want to make sure that we continue to do that. All right, I did A for you. What did you get for B? 4. There's our shorty. Did we have any other 4s that were as short as our B? No, we did not. So we're going to put that X right there, right? All righty. How about C? 8 centimeters. So where is that X going to go on that plot? 8. Okay. And D? How about E? So a couple of them, we plotted, or we measured and plotted, measured and plotted. A couple of them we're going to stop and we're going to plot at the end. Okay, so I'm doing that on purpose so we can see the value of both of those. Okay, how about F? Ooh, it's another 8. How would you know that it's another 8? Yeah, it's about this, it's the same length as the one up here, isn't it? Absolutely. How about our G? How'd you know it was 10? This is the longest. Who else was thinking that same thing, that you knew it was a 10 before you even measured it? You'd go back and double check it though, right? Okay. And then what about that H? Oh, it's a 6 again. There's that 6. It lines up quite nicely, doesn't it? About the same length. All right. So let's double check, make sure we've already plotted some of them, right? We've done our 6, our 4, our 8. What do we need to plot next? Our 5. Then what? Our 7. Okay. Our 8 again. Our 10. And there's that 6 again. Okay. How many X's should we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We should have 8 X's. Let's double check. Let's use that precision, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, one more way to double check. I see a 6, 6, 4, 4, 8, 8, 5, 5, 7, 7, 8, 8, 10, 10, 6, 6. Why would I go back and do that again? Yes, my friends, it's so important for us to double check. That is not a bad thing. That makes sure that we are being thoughtful and careful and precise with our work, especially when we're taking information from one spot and recording it somewhere else. We want to make sure we don't lose anything along their way. Very good. Now, can I ask you a question to help you keep thinking about this work? What would happen if we had, say, an eye that was 14 inches long? How would my line plot look different? Ooh, how would our line plot look different if we had one that was 14 inches long? Yeah, so we'd have to make it lots longer. Would we just include the 14? No. We wouldn't include our 11, 12, 13, and our 14 because we won't want to skip any in between. Was there any piece that was there any length that was not represented on this from here, from our pieces of spaghetti? There were none that were 9 centimeters long, were there? No. Which one was the most, what was I going to ask you? Which ones had the most length? Which one was the longest? Okay. Which two had the same length as another one? 6 and 8 did, right? There were 2 6 centimeters and 2 that were 8 centimeters. Which one was the smallest? R4. Very good, friends. Wonderful work today. You are going to continue this work at your seats for your independent practice, where you're taking a empty line plot and you're given some information to plot on that empty line. Okay? So remember to double check. Be precise in your measurements. Be precise in recording it on the line plot. Happy plotting, my friends. I will see you tomorrow.